What's up, guys? It's KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from SRL, the Sandro Racing League. And while there are many SRL leagues, there's only one Sandro Racing League. And we are Season 6, Round 4 here at China, F1 2020 on the PS4 platform. Getting ready to kick off an 18-minute short qualifying session, followed by a 50% race in what has already been an crazy first 3 rounds of the season. So to recap last time out, which was Australia, SRL never seems to disappoint at Australia. Crazy race, a lot to talk about. There was 14 drivers that participated in the Australian Grand Prix. Jenson Randall took home the pole position, and I do believe that was his first pole of the season. Yes, it was. So Jenson Randall had his first pole position of the season, walked away with a hard-fought win that came down to the wire, and obviously he had a little bit of help from timing and scoring penalties on the behalf of Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards came across the line first, but because of timing penalties, he ended up finishing second. So Jenson Randall with his first pole position, his first win of the season, and Jenson Randall is batting 3 for 3 so far this season. 3 races, 3 podiums, puts him in championship points lead above Andrea Luthrella, 59 points to 51. Cameron Weston Edwards was second. It was his first podium of the year. Dennis Carenchis with a third place finish last time out. Dion Stahl had a great run to fourth, followed by his teammate Sandro Dulius. Max Mulder made his debut, finishing sixth. Robert Herderstagen ran a really good race, actually led the race for a little while, went on an alternate tire strategy, came home seventh. Foons Van Houten was eighth. Colin Higgins was ninth, and Yannick Verpaeten was 10th. Niek van Gelder had a abysmal afternoon last time out, and Niek is actually scheduled to be in the booth with me today. Due to Nick's, he had some internet issues. He caused multiple incidences on track and in qualifying. It was a bad day for Niek, and unfortunately, at the end of the day, he was given a race ban for today's race for causing so many on-track incidences. He had a wreck with Jan Holm. He had an incident with Sandro Dulius. He had internet issues. It was a rough day for Niek, so credited with a DNF, finished 11th. Jan Holm was 12th. Brian Power was 13th, and Reese March was 14th. 11th through 14th with all DNFs. And as we said, Jenson Randall overtook the points lead, 59 points to Jenson Randall's credit so far this season. Andrea Luthrella is second, and then ironically, third, fourth, and fifth is Cameron Weston Edwards with 28, Niek van Gelder 25, tied with Tim Ventic, last season's champion, with 25 points. So that's last week's. Let's go down the driver lineup for today so far. We've got Sandro Dulius in the Ferrari, Cameron Weston Edwards back, still looking for his maiden win. He was so close last time out as he crossed the line first, but too many timing penalties. He came home second. Reese March will be in the Haas. Dennis Carenchis back in the Racing Point. Louis Quinlan in the Alfa Romeo. Rennie Vanderstaff making his comeback in the McLaren. Foons Van Houten in the Renault with Colin Higgins. Max Mulder will be in the other Racing Point. Jenson Randall in the Mercedes. Robin Herderstagen in the Alfa Romeo. Andrea Luthrella, who did not make it last week, will be back in the AlphaTauri. Then we have a newcomer. El Poder F1 is... the hell's his name? Esteban Hermanos, I had to think about it for a second, will be in the Williams. Dion Stahl in the Ferrari. Brian Power will be in the other Williams. And then Niek van Gelder, who has just joined me, is going to be my co-commentator for today. Nick, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to the booth. Unfortunately, you're watching today and not racing.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning to you as well. And it's going to be interesting to spectate a race for once. It's very unfortunate because after Australia, I just wanted to forget about it and move on to China. But unfortunately, I'm still having to face the consequences of of Australia. So, but you know, it's nice to be up here in the booth, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen today.
And it is kind of disappointing on your end, simply because you actually won this race last year. In Season 5, and you're actually you're the only current driver on the grid that has won at this race. Season 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all drivers that are no longer with SRL. Eden Newman won Season 1. coincidentally in a Red Bull. The infamous Alex Benarichetti was Season 2, Killian Brady Season 3, and then Francis McGinn Season 4. You're the only current driver to have won a race here, and unfortunately you don't get to participate today. And it looks like we did just get Liam Hill to join in, and it looks like he'll be rocking the Red Bull today, so Liam going to be taking your spot, I guess, on track.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, it's a shame, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. And in Season 2, when Alex Benarichetti won, I actually had quite a nice battle with him. I finished second in that race. And yeah, of course, last year I probably didn't really have the pace to win, but of course I got lucky with the incident involving Rennie and I think it was Tim Wentic or something. And in the final lap I had a battle with Vasilios for the lead of the race, but you know, there was that incident into turn 4 where I sort of tried to stay in the middle to defend my position, but in doing so I kind of moved into the path of Vasilios, and we touched and he ran wide, and I was able to take the win, and you know, luckily I didn't get a penalty for it. But yeah, it was a bit of a sketchy race last year.
And you are right about that. The one thing that should be noted is that yes, this was the race last year that ultimately the season unraveled for Team McLaren. Rennie Vanderstaff ultimately getting a season-long ban from his incidents in China with Tim Wentic. Cameron Weston-Edwards was banned for the next race and disqualified from round 6, I believe it was last year, China. So China was very full of controversy last year. And then, of course, this year, the little bit of controversy, you're not on track. But from a driver standpoint, I mean, China, for me, it's one of my better tracks in the game, and I don't often play the game, but from a driver standpoint, what kind of tire strategy could we be looking at for some of these drivers?
Yeah, well, I haven't really done any research because usually I always check the strategy and do a race simulation and everything before an SRL race. But I haven't obviously practiced for this one because I'm not driving, so I'm not sure actually. I think, yeah, maybe a one-stop would be possible if you qualify on mediums, but I think, you know, qualifying on softs, it's definitely going to be a two-stop. Maybe softs to 2 sets of mediums, something like that. Stays dry, of course. But yeah, I'm not too sure actually.
There's always the Schumacher 4-stop strategy that some people can make work if they're fast enough, but got a couple of different drivers on the track today. Liam Hill making his SRL debut along with Esteban Hermanos. They've been in the chat a little bit, well, the driver chat away from the track, but do you have any experience with these new guys at all?
No, I don't actually. They're also completely new to me, so yeah, I also just know them from the Hangouts chat that I joined recently, but apart from that, I've never seen them race anywhere.
So it could be interesting to see what their pace is. So 16 drivers for today's Grand Prix. It's a good car count. We got some guys on the live chat. Yur Marusic chiming in, saying his PlayStation is still broken. Didn't know it was broke to begin with. Sandro Dooley is hyped for the day's race. China, one of his better tracks, I believe. And obviously he had a good run back to 5th after his incident with you last week in Australia. So Sandro off to a little bit of a slow start this season, but was definitely had some confidence last week going into the race. But you take a look, he finished 10th at round 1, and then he was 7th at round 2 at Bahrain. So 5th last week was his best finish. We got some cars finally heading out on the track. We'll get some detail up here for everybody. Some tire info. So China, a bit of a tricky track, especially that 1-2 complex is very, very hard. I mean, how do you have to set up the car for such a track like this? I mean, obviously it's got a couple of really long straights, but then you've got those very tight sections leading onto them. How difficult is it to try and set up the car for a track like this?
Yeah, this track is pretty difficult for that because, like you said, there are there are 2 long straights, but also a lot of high speed and also slow speed corners, so it's a bit of everything really. And yeah, you do want to have a bit of front downforce in the middle sector and turn 1 as well. but also you don't want to be sitting back on the straights, of course. So yeah, it's you really have to balance it out and sort of go for a compromise that ultimately gives you the best lap times. But I think yeah, it can work both high aero and low aero. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see which drivers open up, because of course, you know, you can choose for having an advantage on the straights or having an advantage in the corners. But yeah, it's you can go two ways really.
I think one of the more interesting drivers to probably take a look at, and I think we talked about it a little bit last week, Cameron Weston Edwards seems to run a very trimmed out setup. He was able to keep pace with Dennis Carenchis a couple of times last time out at Australia. Even when Carenchis had the DRS advantage, he couldn't find a way to get around Cameron Weston Edwards. So Edwards running a really trimmed out setup. Going to be kind of interesting to see how that can benefit him on the straights, but this first couple of quarters here, there's so much understeer in turn two. It's going to eat up the front tires.
Yeah, turn 1 and 2 is also a pretty tricky corner. I really like it actually. You can, you know, there are multiple lines possible through there. You can go in very fast and take a wide line and then cut back for a late apex and line it up for the turn 3 after that. Or you can take a bit of a tighter line and travel less distance, but also scrub off more speed. And there are many ways to go fast through turn 1 in terms of lap time. It's so yeah, but it is of course, like I said, a pretty demanding corner for the left front tire.
And we're currently watching Dennis Carenchis. He had that great run last week, the third. He led part of the race. He battled with Cameron Weston Edwards late in the going, and really showed some promise and some speed last week. And he showed a couple of flashes of speed last season as well. He hasn't really been able to put together a string of great races, but maybe this will turn his luck around coming off of a podium finish last time out, see if he can do it again today. He looks like he's going to be the first driver to possibly set a time, as long as he doesn't invalidate it.
Yeah, and Jens Randall as well on a pretty good lap, as Brian opens the session with a 33.0, and Dennis Carenchis straight away with a 29.3. Jens Randall now 29.3, sorry. Dennis was with a 29.8, and Colin Hedges as well with a 31.8. So yeah, Jens Randall straight away opening with a very good lap time.
And we've got Fun Oreo on the live chat. Anthony Johnson, the man, myth, the legend. Good to have him with us as always. Still trying to get his ass back in a car. One of these days he's going to race with us. I'm going to make it happen. Cameron Weston Edwards, 135.96, and Rennie Vanderstaff. So the two McLarens running 130s. Just a tick off. Oh, and Liam Hill showing some speed. Where did he come from? 129.820. He goes just as fast as Carenchis, and we know Carenchis is a quick driver, so that's a good qualifying effort by Liam Hill on his first timed lap, making his SRL debut.
Yeah, exactly the same lap time as Dennis Carenchis. That's pretty rare to see, but yeah.
And look at that, Esteban Hermanos with a 132.77. He goes quicker than Edwards. And Sandro Dulius is going 136.68. So Esteban and Liam, the two new comers to SRL, showing a little bit of speed here in qualifying. This is getting a little interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting to see if that 29.3 from Jensen Rando is going to get beaten, because that's a very good time, especially as your first lap of the session. But we know Jensen is quick. He's currently leading the championship as well by 8 points from Andrea Luthrella. So yeah, that's also a pretty fascinating battle for the championship. That's already, of course we're only 3 rounds in, but it seems to be between Jensen Rando and Andrea Luthrella at the front of the field, because behind that it's Cameron Weston Edwards on 25 points, and Jensen and Andrea are on 59 and 51. So it seems to be a two-way fight for the title already.
It should be noted, though, Jensen did benefit last week from Andrea not being in the race. So currently watching Andrea Luthrella. He's got an invalidated lap time. I want to stick with him to see if he's either going to dive into the pits or if he's going to try a timed lap. And of course, timing and scoring is screwed up, so it still says Dennis Carenchis has the fastest lap. Andrea looks like he's going to dive into the pits. So we're going to pick up Foons Van Houten. I believe he's on a timed lap in Sector 1. He's yet to set a time. And Anthony Johnson saying he's on injured reserve right now. He hasn't driven in a week. We'll get him in here one day. Anthony Johnson comes from GRL and Phoenix Motorsport Simulations and Ministries of Speed. He's definitely a quick driver. I'd love to have him in a league like this someday. And we got Sam Brandt on the live chat as well. Good to have Sam with us. Sam's sitting out this year, his last year in university, so he's concentrating on his educational efforts. But I can't imagine what better education you can get than playing Formula 1 2020 on the PS4 platform. We ride along with Funsvin down this very long back straightaway into this very hard hairpin. And with such a heavy braking zone, it's easy to lock up down there, I imagine.
Yeah, it certainly is, yeah. To the final corner then. Let's see where this lap time will put him. P10. And coincidentally, he's actually also 10th in the championship on 10 points. So,
so we're going to pick up Andrea Luthrella. He is currently on an out lap. You have to set a time. You're second in the points right now. He's really kicked off this season really quickly. I mean, he won back round 1 Austria, backed it up in Bahrain with another win. And interestingly enough, you know, we don't have Tim Ventic in here, last season's champion. Tim has only participated in round 1 at Austria, so...
Yeah, that's
actually, he did the first 2 rounds. I should take that back. He did the first 2 rounds. But he's been a bit quiet with his presence in the Google Hangouts chat for the drivers, and kind of makes you wonder if he's going to fully participate this season and try and defend that championship. SRL's never had back-to-back champion, so Tim would be really in a good position to do it.
Yeah, he is. I mean, we know if he's got the pace, probably. I mean, at least to be close to Andrea and challenge him. But, you know, as it stands now with, you know, a no-show in Australia and also here, it's, you know, he's losing out on a lot of points, of course. So it's, yeah, it was a very strong start to the season for Andrea, indeed, with the 2 victories. And also the way he did it, I mean, he was just clearly the fastest in the first 2 rounds of the season. So, yeah, he's certainly going to be challenging as well today for the win.
Well, we're going to ride along with him, and Sandro Dulius, our resident meteorologist, has told us that there is a expected wet race to at least start the race. So weather in the area. So an expected wet race start. So that could definitely, if you know that as a driver, then you basically got to take your risk and just qualify on the softs, give yourself free tire choice after the wet race or after the wet start.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point qualifying on mediums if the race start is going to be wet indeed. So, yeah, it looks like everybody is on softs as well. So yeah, that's probably why they obviously know that it's going to rain to start the race.
A little bit of a lockup on the left front from Andrea as he heads into that tight corner, trying to get the power down. You got this sweeping right-hander out onto the back straightaway, trying to put in minimal steering input. Didn't want to scrub a lot of speed trying to get down the straightaway.
Yeah, that corner is so crucial because you want to carry as much momentum as possible onto the straight. And if you mess up the exit there, it can cost you so much time because you'll be compromised for the entire straight, of course. As Jensen Randall actually improves his lap time to a 1:29.228. Let's see if Andrea can get close to that.
Andrea's getting ready to come across the line. Wow, 1:29.277.
That's close.
Woo! That is, I would go to say that's piping close. A great qualifying effort by Andrea Luthrella and Jensen Randall. Obviously, the class of the field right now, but shouldn't take anything away from Dennis Carenchis. Carenchis is only 0.4 of a second off of their time, and Liam Hill, the newcomer, 1:29.8. So you have, the top 4 drivers are all in 1:29, and really only separated by 0.6 of a second. So that's a great effort by those 4 drivers. Cameron Weston Edwards still the first driver in the 1:30s. He has improved his time to a 1:31.40. And then you've got Esteban Hermanos in the Williams, 6th quickest. Good effort by him as well. And then surprisingly down the list, you've got Sandro Julius, who's only mustered out 7th quickest so far. Louis Quinlan, who has shown flashes of speed this year. He's getting ready to come across the line. And he improves his time by a 10th of a second, but not his position. Still 136.67 in 8th place.
Yeah, and also we're still yet to see a lap time from Dion Stouw and Max Mulder. So it looks like they haven't done a lap yet, or maybe they have done one, but it was invalidated. But for me, it looks like it's still 0 laps that it says behind their name. So Max also still in the pit lane, so maybe they've got a different strategy for this.
Well, Dion Stall's getting ready to come across the line now. See what kind of time he can set. And he is going to be 136.96, good enough for 9. So gets himself into the top 10, and that does just leave Max Mulder with no time set.
Yeah, maybe he was on a flying lap initially and aborted it because he made a mistake or something. So that's probably why he hasn't done a lap yet.
Looks like pit lane's about to get very busy. Liam Hill is out on track, but you see Jensen Randall, Andrea Luthrella, Dennis Carenchis, Kevin Russell Edwards, Hermanos, Julius, they've all dived into the pits. Rennie Vanderstaff still in the pits.
Oh, actually, Max just told me he has injured his leg, and so he's not sure if he can actually drive, because he's being affected by it quite a bit. So that's probably why he is still in the pit garage. But it looks like he is on an outlap right now.
I mean, I'm just saying, Alex Zanardi has no legs and can drive a race car. Maybe you should switch to a controller, Max. Suck it up, buddy.
Yeah, that's also an alternative. But yeah, if you're used to using a wheel and pedals, then it's very hard to change back to the controller because it's so different.
I could definitely see how that would be. I've talked to Louis Quinlan a lot this year about that, though, because Quinlan, obviously the past couple seasons, been really rough on Quinlan. And he is a pad driver, and he said that this year that the handling model for the F1 2020 game is a lot more controller-friendly than the past couple of games that he's had. So he's had a little bit of an improvement for him. Obviously, he had a DNF in almost every race he participated in the last 2 seasons, and this year he's actually got points on the board. So, switching to a controller might not be as bad as in years past. And I do think, we're going to pick up Max. Looks like he's at least on an out lap.
Yeah, he is starting his flying lap right now.
So we'll see what he can do on the flyer. And I guess it's one thing to do a qualifying lap versus a full race. We'll see what kind of pace he can keep up. And Anthony Johnson looks like he's agreeing with me on that handling model for F1 2020. It's a little easier on the controller drivers.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually tried it as well. It seems to be the traction is a lot more like there is some kind of built-in traction control, which helps for bad users. So I tried it as well, and it's you definitely notice it. But I guess it sort of evens it out a little bit because, of course, you can be more precise with a wheel and you can change direction quicker. So I think they sort of tried to just implement that to make the pad have an advantage as well in a different kind of area.
Well, Max looks like he's actually running a fairly decent lap time. He's not setting the world on fire, but it looks like it's a competitive lap time as he comes down this back straightaway.
Yeah, it's certainly not a slow lap.
And it looks like Reese March just jumped himself up to the 8th spot with a 135.63. We haven't really talked about Reese a whole lot today so far, but good qualifying effort on him. And obviously Reese...
Max runs wide there.
He runs wide there. Does it invalidate his time? It does not. And he goes 131.554. And Brian Power has retired from the session. So Max with injured leg. Depending on the severity of the injury, I shouldn't talk too much about it. IRL had a great driver by the name of Jack Yates who suffered a back injury earlier in their season 8. And, he finished P2 the season before in the F2 tier and was really off the pace the first few races this season due to that back injury. So sitting in the rig can definitely, I imagine, be depending on the severity of the injury, it could definitely be a little bit uncomfortable. Now, as I said, it's one thing to set a qualifying time, but to sit through a 50% race, it might be a little bit different. But it looks like some of the heavy hitters are coming back out on track. We got Jensen Randall on an out lap. He's heading down towards the hairpin. Andrea Luthrella is a little bit further back on track. So last-ditch effort here for some of these guys.
Yeah, what do you reckon? Is that 29-2 going to be beaten? Or it's just going to stay in pole position? I think, I'm not sure with these drivers because, of course, they're very fast. I don't think we're going to see a 28, but maybe 29-1 would be possible.
If we saw 28, it would be really impressive. Now, I do know that the game's kind of programmed to bring the track in a little bit more towards the end of the qualifying session, so it is sometimes a little easier to find a few extra tenths, but 1:29.2 is already really quick. As we see Reese March call it a day, his time will be locked in at the 1:35.63. We're currently watching Jensen Randall, who is your provisional pole sitter. He's got the 1:29.2. It doesn't look like he's...
I think Andrea he had a bit of an issue there. He touched with a Renault. It had been Vince van Heugden, and he has decided to not start his qualifying lap. I think I'm not sure what happened there, but they definitely touched. So maybe he damaged his car on this just before he wanted to start his flying lap.
Well, that's a shame. So Andrea's going to dive into the pits, and it looks like Jensen Randall did go purple in Sector 2, but not Sector 1. And he's coming down to the hairpin now. He's got a couple of cars down here. It looks like one of the Alfa Romeos is way off track. I guess that might be Robin Herderstagen calling it a day, or Louis Quinlan possibly. Jensen Randall going to try and come across the line. He's not going to get it. Oh, 1:20.1! Woo! Fastest in Sector 2 and 3. So we'll pick up Liam Hill, and he's off of his best time by 0.02 of a second. Where's Dennis Karenchis? Karenchis is heading down the backstretch now, and Karenchis is a 10th up on his previous time so far. He's going to need to find a little bit more here in the last little portion of this track. Cameron Weston Edwards calls it a day. He's locked in a 1:31.40.
Dennis Karenchis up towards the line. Can he improve his position? No, he can't.
Oh, lost a little bit there.
28,000 of his own time.
Here comes Liam Hill. He's coming down the back straightaway now into the hairpin. Looks like the Ferrari is well off track. I believe that's Dion Stahl getting out of the way.
Yeah, well, Sandro did this actually. I just saw the 69 up towards the line for Liam Hill.
And a 1:29.4, so he goes third quickest and improves his time. Yeah, Sandro's always run that 69, hadn't he?
Yeah. And Max is currently saying that
Jensen Randall with another pole position for him, followed by Andrea Luthrella, Liam Hill, Dennis Karenchis, Cameron Weston Edwards, Esteban Hermanos, Sandro Dullius, Reese March, Louis Quinlan, Dion Stahl, Rennie Vanderstaff, Funs Van Houten, Colin Higgins, Max Mulder, Robin Herderstagen, and Brian Power. And what were you saying about Max?
Yeah, well, he told me that his foot is hurting quite a bit, but he's going to see if he can complete the race. But yeah, he's in a bit of discomfort at the moment.
Well, we certainly wish Max the best of luck.
Yeah.
He obviously participated in the GTS, the Gran Turismo Sport LMP1 round at Spa-Francorchamps a couple of weeks ago. Had a rough day out in that.
Yeah, and he also had quite a few fun races in the GT3 Championship on Portugal too as well. He finished second in Zolder, and he finished third or fourth in Indianapolis, I believe. The race where I had that really nice battle with Dion Stahl on the final lap.
And it is raining, so... Now, Sandro did say it was expected to be for the start of this race. Wonder how long it'll last, when the changeover might be. It'd be interesting to see. Now, it doesn't look like it's heavy enough, but it looks like to me everybody would probably start on intermediates.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I mean, it could also throw a spanner in the works, of course. Sometimes the timing can be a bit awkward when you come to the end of an intermediate period, because of course sometimes it can be that you are closing in on your first now you're closing into the end of your first stint, and you kind of want to go for new set of tires, but might not be dry enough yet by that time. So it's gonna be, yeah, sometimes you can gain a lot by having to skip out, or by being able to skip out a pit stop. Of course, if you can stretch the tires long enough, but maybe they'll have to switch to another set of inters.
Well, let's run down the formation lap. Jensen Randall coming off of his first pole position last week and his first win of the season. He's going to be starting on pole again. Andrea Luthrella, 2 wins this season in the 3 rounds. He didn't participate last week, so the championship battle is on between Andrea Luthrella and Jensen Randall. Liam Hill making his SRL debut, starting in the 3rd spot, showed great promises of speed. Dennis Carenci's coming off of his first podium of the season last time out. See if he can do it again, starting in 4th. And Cameron Weston Edwards has been lightning on the starts. We'll see if he can keep true to that today in the wet. Hasn't done a wet start this year. And Esteban Hermanos starting in the 6th spot, making his SRL debut as well. Great qualifying effort for him as he starts in front of Sandro Dulius. Dulius coming off of his best finish of the season so far last time out at Australia with a 5th place finish. He's starting in the 7th spot. Reese March, the lone Haas. I think Reese is just feeling a little bit out of sorts this year. Yannick being his teammate and Sam not being his teammate. And Yannick hasn't made it to a lot of races. Kind of a lone duck out there in the pond. Louis Quinlan will be starting in the 9th position. We talked about him a little bit during qualifying, the pad driver, see if he can improve his spot and work his way up towards the front. And Dion Stahl starting in the 10th spot. He had a great run last week to 4th, was a part of the podium battle, couldn't quite get it done. And then Rennie Vanderstaff making his return to China, the very track in which he got banned last year for the rest of the season. Hopefully no on-track incidences for him this season. And Funs Van Houten be starting in the 12th spot, followed by his teammate Colin Higgins. So Team Renault starting deep in the field. Max Mulder, we talked about his foot and leg injury, going to try and muster it his way through the race and see if he can hang on. Robin Hertestagen starting in the 15th spot, had a good run last week, led part of the race at Australia, finished 7th. And then Brian Power, who unfortunately has 2 DNFs out of 3 races so far this year, starting in the 16th spot. See if he can finish a race and put some points on the board. And we do have Yannick on the live chat saying he's sorry he needed to work. And Yannick's a character, man. Yannick is he's a fun guy to listen to during the race chat.
Certainly is.
But, yeah, Team Haas, I mean, it was very unexpected of Sam to take a sabbatical for this year. It's not the first time he's done it. And then Yannick, I mean, obviously Yannick, he's got to work. I mean, nothing you can do about that. He's not going to be able to make every single race. It's just Reese just kind of feels he's the lone Haas, man. But here we go, waiting on the 5 red lights. And we'll wait for timing and scoring to get all screwed up at the drop of the green flag. Lights are out, time to run what you brung, and looks like Reese has got a little bit of Reese is off to the side. What's happened to Reese March?
I don't know, but into turn 1, it's Andrea Luthrella attacking Jensen Randall straight away, but this Jensen gonna strike straight back. He's gonna try to hang it on the outside, but he will have the inside for turn 3. And he does try to retaliate straight away. He will have the tighter line on the exit there of turn 4, and he does regain the lead.
Ooh, and Andrea tries a crossover move, and they're still side by side as they head down in the next corner. Jets around, and look at this. Andrea's going to dive to the inside. Thought about it, goes wide, almost blows the braking zone, and Dennis Carenci's trying to get down to the inside and make this a 3-car battle. Meanwhile, Liam Hill and Esteban Hermanos, the 2 newcomers, battling side by side with each other, and Liam Hill makes the pass, and here comes Louis Quinlan to be a part of this, and Hermano gets touched!
No!
And he saves it.
Hermanos. Oh, his SRL debut is spun out of turn 7 there, but does escape from any damage, so he can continue from 16th place.
And Reese March, who I don't know if it was a strategy of Reese to get out of the way and let the pack go, or if he had bottled the start or what, but he's worked his way back in the 13th, so... Meanwhile, the battle continues at the front of the pack. Andrea's got the slipstream off of Jensen Randall as they head down this very long back straightaway.
There's a look up the inside, but it's too far back. for now, and already a bit of a gap to Dennis Krenschis by the second. And also Dion Starr getting past Max Mulder as well. Works his way up to 11th.
And Max Mulder lost a couple of spots in that heavy braking zone. And I imagine in Max's state with his foot, that heavy braking zone, that's probably where he's going to be affected the most.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean,
and there we go. Yep, timing and scoring gets all screwed up.
Yeah, like always. Anyway, still Jensen Renault out at the front, followed by Andrea Luthrella. I mean, those two are really close on pace. I think maybe Andrea is fine with just sticking behind Jensen for now, considering they do have the pace to pull away from the rest. But if Andrea feels he might not be as quick, he might try a bit of a desperate move to just try and break up Jensen's rhythm, because when you leave Jensen Renault at the front, you don't really want to let him escape, because then he's gone for the rest of the race. So.
Oh, we've got a car around. That's Louis Quinlan. Looks like he might have had a little bit of contact and got spun. Meanwhile, Liam Hill and Dennis Krenschis really battling it out for the third spot. So you've got the battle for the lead. They're all by them lonesome. Then we got the battle for third. They're all by their lonesome.
Well.
And then Cameron West and Edwards.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Here comes Reese Marks, so we're going to pick him up. Heading down the straightaway. He's got the slipstream off of Dion Stahl's car. He's got a little bit of gap between him and Brian Power here. You guys going to think about going to the inside. Can he outbrake Dion?
Just can't be late enough on the brakes there. Dion still holds on to P9. So Jensen still opening up lap 3 now with a 45.6.
Oh, half a and Reese just gave Dion a little bit of a NASCAR bump and run. And he gave him a little bit of the chrome horn. I don't think it was on purpose, but he lost a little bit of time. Brian Power now creeping up on the back of Reese's car.
And also Liam Hill and Dennis Krenschis side by side.
Oh, they're side by side.
Liam is forced out right now next to the third and four. Is he going to try and get up the inside of the turn 5?
Liam Hill to the
inside. Just not make it through there without making contact, but Dennis Krenschis holds on to P3 for now.
And it would be a great debut for Liam Hill to, get a podium, obviously. And Dennis Krenschis, I mean, he came in late last season, only did a handful of races, but showed a lot of speed as well, and coming off of a podium last week. So nice to see these two guys fighting for a podium spot towards the front.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's. I remember my first SRL race. I qualified on pole in Barcelona season 2. But then,
and Krenschis loses the back end of the car, and he's into the gravel.
It's gonna lose him a lot of ground. He's still.
Oh, and here comes Cameron West and Edwards now.
Yeah, that's not really the driver you want to have in your mirrors, but he's got the overspeed as well on the back straight. Is he gonna try it straight away into the hairpin?
It is.
13. Oh, just.
It's funny you mention that because Cameron has such a presence on track. It's
yeah, he does.
It's you don't even you don't want to race him, and it's not because he's dirty. He's so aggressive and so hard to get around, and he's gonna make a hardcore pass to try and get that position. You see him trying to snake his way across the front straightaway, and Cameron just such an aggressive driver, which is really a good thing. He's very Max Verstappen, if you will.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is certainly a hard racer, but fair as well. But it's you know that when you're behind him, it's going to be difficult to get past, and also when he is behind you, it's going to be difficult to stay in front.
Looks like Dennis has gotten his self sorted out after losing the front end. Just washed out on that, as you said, that very crucial turn, that sweeping right-hander to lead onto the backstretch, and just the front end just washed out. I mean, he saved it. Didn't cause any damage, but obviously it cost him a lot of time. And now Liam Hill. Oh, and Andrea's left the session. What has happened here?
It's probably disconnected or something. That's going to lose him a lot of time. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, and you, I mean, unfortunately, you experienced that a lot last week.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first time we've ever seen this with Andrea. I don't think he's ever really had an internet issue. And you as well. You've never really had internet issues as well. I mean, is it possibly a problem with the game in and of itself, like Project Cars 2?
Yeah, it might be. I mean, this game can be a bit buggy sometimes, and also last week with the FPS glitch that I had after I rejoined. And I tried to like leave the session and rejoin again, but it just didn't go away. So yeah, this game can be a bit weird sometimes. So it could maybe be a fault of the game. We've also got quite a nice group here from P10, Brian Power, up to P14, Max Mulder. All pretty close together. Of course, extending to the final point Spain position. Brian Power doing pretty well to actually hold on to that position because, yeah, Colin Higgins and his teammate, Hermanos, I forgot his name.
Esteban Hermanos.
Esteban Hermanos, yeah, that was it. And behind it, Robin Herstagen and Max Mulder.
And Andrea Luthrella's car is about to lose a spot to Liam Hill. Liam Hill getting ready to take that second spot, and now you see Jensen Randall is, I mean, he's off into the races. He's got a 5.5 second gap over these two cars, and Liam trying to methodically work his way around the AI car now of Andrea Luthrella. So Liam Hill takes over the second spot. Dennis Carenchis has managed to gap Cameron Weston Edwards a little bit.
Yeah, and also Esteban Hermanos just got through on Colin Hitchens as well for P12 after Colin ran a little bit wide. For P11, sorry. Colin now down into P12.
And we've got Talls706 on the live chat saying invite Andrea to the lobby.
And the two Williamses as well, side by side. Esteban Hermanos just went on the inside of Brian Power, but Brian is going to try to get the better exit on the inside. Bit of a slide.
Ooh, and that back end is coming around. Brian Power trying to hang tough, and there it goes!
Power towards the infield into the grass. He does keep it out of the barrier, so he has avoided any damage as Dion Stahl also gets past him out of P14.
So Andrea has rejoined the session. I was getting ready to tell you to see if you can find him in your friends list and invite him, but he's back.
Okay, that's good to know.
So he's only lost the one spot, and we'll see how well he does in gain control of that car. Meanwhile, we've got Rennie Vanderstaff. He's creeping up on the 6th spot of Foons Van Houten. So the battle of the vans is on, Vanderstaff and Van Houten. He's bringing Sandro Dulius with him.
Yeah, I would love to be in there as well. In the battle of the vans. Yeah, this has certainly helped out Jensen a lot to build up a gap. And yeah, we'll see if hopefully Andrea will stay clear of any disconnecting issues and hopefully he can complete the race now.
And it looks like timing and scoring has lost all of its timing and scoring.
Yeah.
So we'll pick up Andrea and see where we can see if we can find out how far apart these cars are from each other. So Dennis Carenchis is closed in on Andrea's car. Andrea, I would imagine, has probably got control of that car by now, and we'll be able to start spreading that gap a little bit. Edwards has lost
as well. He tried to go up the inside of Fitz van Heugden, and he has actually managed to get through. I almost touched as they came through turn 13, but Rennie Vanderstaff now up into 6th place.
And it looks like the rain has stopped, so the track is still wet, but the rain has stopped. And Vanderstaff and Van Houten side by side. Sandro Dulius and Reese March are a part of this battle as well. So 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th all battling it out. Who's going to be the first driver to pit? And it looks like that is going to be Andrea. And timing and scoring finally coming back, and it looks like Edwards stays out on track, so... Or no, Edwards does not stay out on track. Edwards is in the pits. He's switching over to a set of hards.
And also Sandro Dulius and Renee from the stop running side by side through turn 2, but Dulius has the inside for turn 3 and manages to
and Reese March makes a little bit of contact with Van Houten.
He does, and Van Houten now has the run on Sandro Dulius as they go into turn 5. Dooley's on the inside, taking a defending line, manages to hold on to P5 for now.
Reese March. Oh, he makes contact with Van Houten again. And DRS is now enabled, so that's going to be an advantage for some of these drivers. Track drying out here on lap 7.
Yeah, so probably we're probably going to see all of the intermediate tire runners pitting on this lap because yeah, the track seems to be dry enough for the slicks now. I want to burn out the intermediates too much.
And there's more contact between Reese March and Koens Van Houten. Houten struggling with those intermediate tires, it looks like. And we're going to get some tire information up here, and it looks like some of these guys, a lot of these guys are going to be switching over to hards.
Yeah, I think you can definitely make it to the end from this point on hards, because the hards can go a long way, so it's only Max that has opted for the softs, so he's a bit more aggressive on his strategy. But yeah, I think probably most drivers, maybe even all of them, apart from Max, are going to go from hards, because I think that's the quickest way to go to the end now.
I do want to make a quick note. I think Anthony Johnson, he clarified something for us a little while ago about Reese March and that start that he had. He says he believes Reese may have jumped the start, and that's why he pulled to the side to let everybody go.
Okay, yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense. And all of these guys diving into the pits. Now I'm going to pick up, where is Andrea?
He is currently also in the pit lane, I think. He's managed to move his way up to P4 now, and to the hards as well. I just exited the pits.
And it looks like Jensen has gone in and out.
And Andrea is now stuck behind Dennis Krenchis in hards as well, so he is...
Ooh, and
Andreas. He's a bit of a twitch
snap oversteer there coming out of that corner.
But yeah, with Reese, it almost looked like he was like, nah, I'm not fancying turn 1, just gonna back off here, but maybe he did jump the start and that would make sense. And actually, Brian Power has opted for the mediums. Also, the two Renaults, Vince van Heugden and Colin Higgins, on the softs as well, as is Robin Hersendagen. So,
you know, I would not be against the alternate tire strategy, especially if you're deeper in the field. Maybe you can make up some ground and spread that gap a little bit and, you know, make an extra stop if you have to.
Yeah, I think the soft runners are probably just going to make one more stop to mediums, and maybe Brian Power is just going to use softs at the end. So that, yeah, that could maybe work out. I mean, of course, you are going to be in the faster tire for the rest of the race.
And Dennis Krenchis snaking his way down this back straightaway, trying to break up that slipstream, but here comes Luthrella to the outside, and Krenchis going to take the defensive line. Crossover move.
Just tries to go for the cutback. He's
going to get the power down. They're side by side. You cannot go side by side here. Ooh, they touch. Oh, and it goes very wide. Cuts back across. They bang wheels again. And they're going to be side by side heading into 1 and 2.
Great battle for P3. Ooh,
Krenchis is going to be in there.
Yeah, he's going to have the inside for turn 3.
Nope. Krenchis isn't going to be able to get there.
But I think Andrea damaged his wing there. I saw a bit of end plate flying off into the final corner. Or it might have been.
Yep, you're right. The left front end plate is gone on Andrea's car.
It is, yeah.
So that's going to cost him dearly in the Sector 2 area. And Brian Powers picked up a 3-second time penalty. And that lack of downforce, who are they coming up on? Is this Liam Hill?
Yeah, it is. He's in second place, but
he must have had an incident. Andrea really, he is all over the back of him now. Look at this, a 3-car battle now for second spot. What has happened to Liam Hill? He's off the pace. Oh, and he gets touched.
Did he?
I don't know.
It just goes clean around the outside. What's happened to Liam Hill? He's just lost all of his car speed.
The back end goes around. And Liam Hill into the wall.
I think he just maybe avoided any damage there. He's going to lose a lot of time.
Oh my goodness! I thought he was going to cut across Koens Van Houten.
And he's having a bit of it, Sandro Dulis as well. I think he just got past him. In the group behind it, we've got the McLaren of Rennie Vanderstaff, Reese March, and Liam Hill now right behind them.
So Liam Hill having some issues. I don't know if he's having issues with maybe the tire temperature or...
Yeah, almost looked like he just had no grip coming through that turn 13 corner that leads on towards the back straight. But it seems to have heated up now after that half spin, because he's right at the back of Reese March.
So Dennis Karenchis finds himself back in third spot again, half a second behind Andrea Luthrella. I don't think he's going to have the speed to keep up with Andrea, but Dennis he's been a little surprising in past races, so...
Yeah, he's doing a good job. And Liam Hill up the inside of Reese March into turn 5. Cleanly gets it down, tries to get it back on the cutback. It's got to be on the outside, and yeah, Liam Hill holds on to P8.
Reese tried getting that power down and really snap oversteer coming out of that corner. So Liam Hill looks like he's maybe getting his bearings back and getting back into the groove a little bit and shaking off what had happened. Cameron Weston Edwards up into the 4th spot. He's being followed by Foons Van Houten. And Foons is on the soft tires. Let's see if that benefits him at all, if he can catch Cameron. So he's got Sandro Dulius in his mirror.
Yeah, and also...
and Rennie Vanderstaff's going to have the DRS coming down, and he's bearing down on Sandro right now. Here he comes. Dive to the inside. He's going to easily make that move under braking. Oh, but Sandro with the crossover!
To get it back.
Almost outburned himself.
Outside now for the final corner. And Rennie Vanderstaff holds on to P6. Is trying to get back with the DRS advantage here on the start-finish straight up towards turn 1. No, it's not quite close enough. Maintains P7.
And Dennis Karenchis has had an off. And he had an off at the 1-2 area, and he's lost 3rd spot. Cameron Weston Edwards finds himself in a podium spot now. And Dennis Karenchis is down into 5th. I thought I saw a puff of gravel smoke when I was on board with Sandro, and it was Dennis Karenchis losing it going into the turn 1. So that's it. Unfortunate for Dennis Karenchis. He's really had an up and down day.
Yeah. Yeah, and Foons can definitely capitalize on this. That's one car less to overtake. He might have to pace on Cameron as well, because he is on he's on a set of tires that is 2 compounds softer. So maybe he can get past Cameron as well before he has to pit for his mediums.
Well, as we've talked earlier, it's one thing to catch Cameron. It's going to be another thing to get around him.
Indeed. Also, at the back of the field, there's quite a nice battle between Louis Quinlan and Brian Power. They're pretty close together for P15. Brian on those medium tires, so he does have the tire advantage, but was it a little bit wide there into turn 8.
And Rennie Vanderstaff and Dennis Karenchis going side by side. I'm sorry, that was Sandro Dulius. Ooh, and there's nose to tail.
Karenchis there, yeah. Almost touching the Ferrari in front of him. And now the slipstream / DRS strain. Did Dennis Karenchis go into the pits there? He did. I thought he ran right, but he is up into the pit lane. So that's probably to repair his damage, because I can't imagine the heart being worn out at this stage.
Meanwhile, Foons Van Houten has closed in on Cameron Weston Edwards for 3rd. And now the stress begins. And this is kind of interesting, because Foons usually doesn't find himself running this high up in the order. So Foons, I don't think, has a lot of experience running with Cameron. So might be interesting to see. It's very much like a Schumacher versus Hamilton and Monza type deal. Like, I don't think you realize how hard it's going to be to get around him.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows about the racecraft of Cameron Weston Edwards.
Well, it's one of those things, though, to hear stories. It's another thing to experience.
Yeah, that's true, certainly. But yeah, Foons, I mean, he doesn't want to get held up here, because of course he does have to make another stop, so he needs to make the most of these laps that he's doing now on these soft tires.
Now, he might luck out here, because he's going to have the DRS, and it's a very long back straightaway. Cam already taken away that defensive line, running it all the way down to the inside. And this is exactly what we talked about in qualifying. Even with the DRS, Foons can't catch him, because Cameron runs such a trimmed out setup. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't get past Cameron on the straight, then good luck trying it in a corner.
Meanwhile, Rennie Vanderstaff has worked his way into 5th. He's trying to hold off Sandro Dulius and Liam Hill. Liam Hill finally getting his way back towards the front here. I think he's going to be really disappointed with himself being in that podium position like that and having an incident like that. Looks like Cam's struggling with a little bit of tire temp as well, a little bit
and Max up the inside as well of Colin Hitchens into turn 1. That was a pretty nice and clean move there. Up into P8, just caught the end of that. And yeah, Max Mulder doing pretty well, despite his discomfort, up into 8th position out of lap 13.
Meanwhile, Edwards has been able to gap Foons a little bit now. It's over a half a second gap. Sandro's just under half a second to Rennie Vanderstaff, and Liam Hill's just under a half a second to him. So 3-car battle for the 5th spot. And you've got the 2-car battle for the 3rd spot. And then you've got
Power's in as well, so that's interesting. He might go for another set of mediums. That's very early.
And Foons just lost a chunk of time. But now he's coming down the back straight away. He's got the DRS slot open and not close enough to Cameron to make a move.
So still Cameron holding on to P3. And yeah, Brian had to repair his spring, so that's why he opted to pit early.
And now the sun's starting to come out, so the track temperature is going to go up.
Yeah, that's nice, especially for those running on the hard tires. I mean, tire wear is an issue anyway, so yeah, nice to see that we're going to have a dry and probably sunny end to this race. As Ruben Hersendagen also gets past Esteban
and Liam Hill is gone into the pits, and he is going to switch over. Oh, he's getting himself a new front wing, switching over to a fresh set of mediums, and he is back out and running. Esteban's going to find himself running in the 10th spot, so on his SRL debut, works his way back into the points. Good on him. Meanwhile, Rennie Vanderstaff still trying to hold off a hard-charging Sandro Dulis. It's now a 2-car battle.
And also Reese March just got past Colin Hitchens for 8th position as well. Of course, Colin also, just like his teammate, running on softs as he runs a bit wide there on the exit of turn 5. So yeah, Colin Hitchens doesn't really seem to be able to make it work on the softs. But yeah, Finn certainly is, and he's still stuck behind Cameron. Also, Max Mulder now up into 7th, also running on softs, of course.
Good on Max, as we talked about, running with that discomfort, and looks like he's kind of running all by his lonesome right now, which is probably a little easier for him to try and maintain. He's got a pretty decent gap, 2-second gap back to Reese March, and obviously he's 11.5 seconds back from Sandro Dulia, so maybe he can take this time and just kind of, you know, get himself a little bit more comfortable. Meanwhile, Sandro and Rennie going side by side through the hairpin, and crossover move by Sandro to make that work. Rennie's all over the gearbox as they head out of the last corner. And we've got Ivan Brito on the live chat. Good to have Ivan with us as we see Foons Van Houten diving in the pits. So some of these guys are switching over. Well, there's a lot of the soft drivers that are going to have to pit. And Dennis Carenchis is pitted once again. He's switched over to the medium tires. Liam Hill switched over to the medium tires. We got, looks like Foons is in the pits. Colin Higgins is in the pits. That's not good. They're going to double stack the Renaults. No, it looks like Foons was out before Colin came in.
Yeah, so it looks like the two Renaults are on the same strategy. And yeah, like I expected, they are all switching to mediums. Because, yeah, from around lap 14-15, that's the right tire to go with. They can pretty easily go from the end, I think, from this point onwards. But yeah, also Cameron Weston Edwards now, of course, has a bit of into the gravel.
What happened there? Did he get touched or lose it on the curbing?
Look like it. Yeah, it looked like a massive snap of oversteer or something, but it was very weird and unnatural. Like he either massively overcorrected or he did get touched. I'm not sure, but that has dropped him back one position to P5 now, behind Rennie Vanderstaff, and in front of him, René's teammate Cameron also has a bit of breathing.
There we go, we're going to pick up Esteban Hermanos all over the back of Foons Van Houten. Foons trying to break up that slipstream, but here comes Esteban.
To the outside of Foons.
Oh, caught him right at the braking zone.
Oh,
and great crossover move. Oh, but he can't get the power down on the hard tires, Esteban. You can hear the wheel spin.
Yeah, you saw him having to counter correct as well. As Max Walder now into the pit lane.
And here we go, he's got the DRS again down the straightaway.
Into this very fast turn one, trying to hang it on the
around
outside.
the outside.
That's brave.
Woo!
Very difficult to do there. You do kind of want to be on the inside of turn one. Or when you go for the outside, maybe try to go for a cutback line and take a late apex.
Esteban hanging tough with those hard tires. Oh, and I don't. Esteban must not be running very much traction control because he loses the back end. Woo!
Oh,
well, he kept it out of the wall.
Yeah, he did. Bit of a tricky rejoin as well, but he luckily stays out of the way of Liam Hill. It's unfortunate.
I'll tell you what, you know, him and Liam Hill have been struggling a little bit with, I guess, tire temps and traction, but, you know, good on them both. Neither one of them have really slammed into a wall or slammed into another car. The car control is actually kind of impressive, and I don't know if you were on board, but I was on board with Esteban, and when that back end came around, he
was as well, yeah.
Punched it to you know, keep it from sliding backwards into the wall. So tough day for Esteban. He does get to hang on to 9th position. Liam Hill up to 8th. So a couple of guys on their SRL debut having a bit of an up and down day. Reese March is going to be 10. He's only 1.5 seconds behind. He's only 1.5 seconds behind Esteban, so. And Brian Power picks up another 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, so the field seems to be a little bit spread out now, and it's a shame that Andrea Luthrella had that disconnect at the start, because, you know, that gap between him and Jensen is now 16 seconds, so it could have been a lot closer, of course. But it seems like nobody's gonna challenge Jensen today, and I think the only one that can beat him is himself now.
Well, we've seen that in years past. You know, last season he definitely made a lot of costly mistakes.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was one of the things that I talked about with Sam in the preseason and Sandro as well. You know, Jensen seems to be his own worst enemy, but he's made leaps and bounds in maturity this year as far as from a driving standpoint. He hasn't really made a whole lot of mistakes. I mean, granted, it's only been 3 rounds in, but, you know, a win, a pole position, 3 podiums, you know, the maturity that he has gained from last season to this season has just been leaps and bounds over what it was. And you're right, the only driver that can beat him right now is going to be himself. I mean, Andrea, as fast as he is, this is not his race. He's struggled. He's still got that wing damage is part of the reason. He's lost 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Since the last time I checked, he's not gone in to change that front wing, and that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, it is. I mean, running with damage is just so annoying, especially on this track in the middle sector where you really need that downforce. So yeah, having the understeer is not nice, but yeah, it's a shame for Andrea, the issues he's had today. But you know, so far a flawless drive from Jensen Randall.
And Team McLaren running 3rd and 4th. Cameron Weston Edwards in the 3rd spot. Rennie Vanderstaff running in the 4th spot. Just a great comeback story over what China was last year for this team. Just the whole season just unraveled. And, you know, for what it's worth, you know, Tim Ventic, not too much of an issue, but Vasilios Belithiotis, I mean...
Oh, Reese March, sorry to interrupt there. He was battling with Louis Quinlan. He just lost his car on the exit of turn 5. He's lost the position now.
Oh, it looks like he's going to lose another one! Hang on to it, Reese! Woo!
Just!
Now let's gingerly back it up and get going.
Yeah, he was lucky not to hit him up there, but he's lost tons of time. Down into 14th, he's gonna get overtaken by Robin Herstadagen as well. He's gonna drop back into last as he's grabbed on the tires. He's got a 10-second time penalty as well. Everything is just falling apart for Reese.
I will say, and I don't play this game a whole lot, but I will say that's the one thing that, as we see him go around again,
oh yeah,
this is the one thing that I don't think Codemasters has quite gotten right is getting back on track. The how long it takes for the tires to clean themselves off or get the grip back. As you can see, Reese is still struggling, just trying to get it going. It's the one thing I think Codemasters missed the mark on. I've never seen a driver in Formula One go off track and, you know, spin 17 times trying to come back on, and it seems to be a common theme. And it's not a knock against Reese. It seems to be a common theme amongst a lot of players that I do come across. It's just the one thing I think that they didn't quite get right.
Yeah, you have to be so careful, and of course after a spin you just want to get back going as soon as possible because you've already lost a little time, but yeah, you have to be really patient with the throttle because there's just no grip in tires.
So we got a battle heating up here for Dennis Carenchis and Liam Hill for the 7th spot. But I want to get back to what I was quickly saying about the McLaren last year and them and the incidents on track with Tim Ventic and Vasilios Pelsientis. Vasilios had a good knack of getting under people's skin and off track, and I think that boiled over on the on-track incidents last year. So
yeah, it probably did. Yeah.
But Liam Hill really closed up under braking, but Dennis Carenchis getting that power down and getting that gap spread back out. But Liam Hill's gonna.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, he has had quite a solid season so far. 7th in the championship with 17 points as he runs a little bit wide into turn 1, but manages to hold on. Tries to block the inside for turn 3. And as they come out, he is still in front, but Liam Hill might dive up the inside or on the outside maybe into turn.
Oh, he baits him, and he goes to the inside.
But Dennis Carenchis holds it around the outside with better traction and a bit of a twitch again for Liam Hill.
Meanwhile, these guys are actually closing in on Funs Van Houten. You see Van Houten just up ahead there, 1.8 seconds back, so it's going to be a 3-car battle that I don't think Funs Van Houten is prepared for. Kind of been running all by his lonesome for the last number of laps, and you're going to look in your mirror and all of a sudden you see these 2 cars coming as they pass Reese March on the side of the road. Reese just coming out of the pit, switches over to soft tires, so. Whoa! Another snap oversteer moment for Liam Hill.
He's on the edge with that car. He might be running a similar setup to what I usually do. Which is pretty coincidental.
Which is the drift setup used by Ken Block and Vaughn Gittin Jr.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just using the exact same car that I've been using for the past couple of races, seems. Just a different number on it.
He's got a good run coming out of that last corner this time. Down the straightaway. We know Carenchis has struggled a little bit heading into turn 1. See if he runs it a little bit wide this time.
Oh, he does! He has a bit of a look up the inside there, does Liam Hill.
That's actually some good defensive driving by Dennis Carenchis. It's like he ran that groove like a half a groove wider to pretty much put himself right in the middle of like the grooves there. He couldn't go to the inside, he couldn't take the outside. Yeah. And Funs Van Houten is I don't know if he's looking in his mirror, but they're coming.
Yeah, he is certainly falling into the clutches of Dennis Carenchis and Liam Hill. And yeah, Reese March unfortunately now in 16th position. I'm not sure how far he is behind Brian Power, but maybe he can, on the softs now, close up on him. But yeah, considering he's a lap down, I can't see the gap.
He is 28 seconds behind Reese.
Okay.
Yeah, Reese, I'm sorry, he's 20, well, it's dropping quite quickly. It's now 26.9 to Brian Power.
It's a lot in with 6.5 laps to go.
So Dennis Carenchis not quite in the DRS range for Funs Van Houten, but he's got a big enough gap. Liam Hill's got the DRS, but he's not close enough to make a move. Now he closes up under braking.
Yeah, this is a nice battle shaping up here for P6. Seems like the podium is settled now, unless some weird things start to happen now. But it seems like they're pretty secure for P1, 2, and 3. But yeah, behind that, also again, Avon is top pretty secure in P4. But and Santa Lewis as well. But yeah, from 6 to 8, it's still pretty close.
And it's very close now because they are all within nose to tail of each other.
And again, almost touching the racing point in front of him.
Oh, and Liam, he's really got some snap oversteer. And a 3-second time penalty goes to Andrea Luthrella, exceeding the track limit. So he's got to be struggling through Sector 2.
Yeah, I mean, of that there is no doubt. With a missing front wing end plate, it's really tough going through the corners that Funs, Dennis, and Liam are coming through right now. So also nice for Sander Dulli is that it seems he's gonna pick up a nice bunch of points in 5th position. He's currently down in 8th in the championship on 17 points. So his season has gone off to a bit of a better start than what it did last year, because I think he didn't score any points in the first 3 or 4 races last season.
And that'll be 2 5th-place finishes for Sandro in a row. So
yeah, that's some nice consistency there. As Funs van Heugden is definitely looking in his mirror as he tried to break up the slipstream there a little bit from the 2 chasing cars. Behind him again, indeed, Liam Hill with a bit of oversteer coming out of the hairpin.
And Brian Power is going to jump into the pits and switch over to another set of tires. And looks like Reese might have had an incident somewhere along the last couple of laps. He went from 26 seconds back to 43 seconds back. And here we go once again. Liam Hill to the inside this time. Oh, and they touch! Oh, and that was a little bit of a shoulder check.
Yeah, it was, and Dennis Krenchis was hanging out to dry there on the exit of turn 1. And the Liam Hill does move his way up into 7 as Funs van Heugden also dipped his tire into the grass there. Liam Hill now on the outside, that's not going to work surely. Tries to go for an inside cutback. As Cameron was picks up a time penalty. Also, Reese Mark seemed to have retired from the session. Not sure if that was a crash or if he decided to call it a day. But
yeah. Tough go for Reese today. And Liam, I'm interested to see if Dennis Krenchis gets back to Liam if there's any type of retaliation. I don't know that Liam did it with malice, but he definitely gave Dennis a shoulder check and kind of knocked him off into the grass. So
yeah, and now he's really close to Funs van Heugden. He's gone up the DRS on the back straight, of course, and yeah, I mean turn 1 it's really tricky. If you go up the inside there, it's you're coming in with. You're carrying a lot of speed, and it's difficult to take a tight line through there. So I don't think we really meant to squeeze out Dennis Krenchis, but he's gonna try it on the outside. Funs actually tries to outbrake him, but runs wide, and Liam Hill now takes over 6th position, and Dennis Krenchis now on the outside into the final corner.
Ooh, and they touch, and Krenchis is gonna go around. That was a bit ambitious for Dennis Krenchis, I think, and he looks like he might dive into the pits, maybe.
He does. Luckily, he was still able to turn it around and head back into the pit lane, but that's unfortunate for Dennis Krenchis.
So Funs van Houten is going to be 7th, and Esteban Hermanos up to 8th. Louis Quinlan is 9th, and Dion Stahl will find himself in the 10th spot. So Krenchis is going to switch over to a fresh set of softs, and he's retired from the session. So Dennis done for the day. That's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I didn't quite see the incident. I was spectating Funs, I think, so I just missed the moment where they made contact. But yeah, it's a shame for Dennis. He was having a good race, but it's an over, unfortunately. So yeah, Jens Reno out in front, 21 seconds now to Andrea Luthrella in 2nd place. He's going to increase his lead in the championship. And another podium as well for Cameron Edwards. That's going to be 2 in a row, isn't it, for the Brit after he got on the podium as well last time in Australia. Unfortunately, he didn't get the win that we thought he was going to get.
He was so close to picking up that maiden win, and a driver of Cameron's caliber, it's odd that he's been in SRL this long and has just managed to never get that win that he's been looking for. It's very much like a Nick Heidfeld type thing. He's a good driver and he can show speed and he shows promise. He just can't get that win for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, I think this moment will come. Maybe later on in the season, but
I mean, to be fair, he did get an SRL Indy 500 win last year in spectacular fashion. But even though he won that 500, he so badly wants an F1 win.
Yeah, can imagine. I think it will come.
And Sam Brandt saying it's a stellar drive from Liam Hill. I don't think Dennis Karenchis would agree with you, Sam. And I mean, I think that was just a bad lap for Dennis. I mean, he definitely got shoulder checked by Liam into the grass, and I think he was trying to make that ambitious move to the outside at the last corner, just trying to get to Liam. I really think he wanted to get back to Liam, as we see Liam almost lose the car coming on in the back straightaway. But yeah, unfortunately, it looks like everybody's pretty well spread out at this point. Jensen Randall with a 23-second gap over Andrea Luthrella. He's got that wing damage. Cameron Weston Edwards been pretty much running his own race for the most part of the day. He really hasn't had to fight too hard to get those positions, and really for once, unfortunately, didn't have to fend anybody off either. Rennie Vanderstaff running in 4th. Good run for him. Sandro, we talked about, going to have another 5th place finish. Liam Hill's been pretty much talk of the town today for sure. Foons Van Houten going to be running in 7th. And Esteban Hermanos, he's had a couple of offs today, but going to bring the car home in one piece. Louis Quinlan's managed to work his way back into the points, and Dion Storm rounding out your top 10 drivers. Shout out to Max Mulder with 3 laps to go, running with that injured leg and foot, but he's stuck with it. And he's actually not that far off of Dion Stahl. He could find himself in a points-paying position. Meanwhile, Colin Higgins is running in 12th. Robin Herdestag in his race is not going the way he wanted it to, I'm sure. And Brian Power still running, so good on Brian. Be good to see him finish a race. We're going to go back to Max Mulder and Dion Stahl as these laps wind down, because Max is now 1.8 seconds back from Dion Stahl. And to be fair, Dion's only about a second and a half back from Louis Quinlan, so really a 3-car battle starting to materialize, but some pretty big gaps for about 2.5 laps to go.
And if Max Mulder does get in front of Dion, he will move up in the championship, because Reese March is level on points with him, so he will overtake Reese for 30 to the championship. And also Rennie Vanderstaff is on 8 points, so we've got 3 drivers with the same amount of points at the moment, but of course Rennie is currently in 4th place, so he's going to move up a lot in the championship, because I think we'll move up from 12th to 9th as it stands, just behind Sandro Julis. And he can also get past Dennis Karenchis, because he of course had some misfortunes today, and also Luke Smith not driving, so Sandro is going to probably move up a couple of positions as well behind Tim Benton potentially.
And now 2 laps to go, and these guys are now 1.3 separated from each other, and that's Louis, Dion, and Max. And Max really making up some ground here in the turn 1-2 sector. And he's on those medium tires. He's on 10-lap-old mediums versus 19-lap-old hards for Louis Quinlan and Dion Stahl. Max could potentially pick up a couple of spots here in these closing laps.
Yeah, I mean, potentially there are definitely some.
Oh, and Liam Hill! Liam Hill!
What happened to him?
He's off in the grass. He's up against the wall. He's crashed out.
Liam Hill on his SRL debut. Not going to score any points, unfortunately. Crashing out on the penultimate lap. That's a shame. And that is going to promote Max into the points, of course.
So now it becomes a battle for really 8th, 9th, and 10.
It is. Oh, what a shame for Liam Hill. His first race in SRL. He was doing really well, but unfortunately, we won't see the checker flag today.
Way to go, Sam. You jinxed your boy. Stellar drive indeed. Now, up until that point,
even though he's not commentating today.
Up until that point, Liam Hill had been the talk of the town for most of this race. But right now, we're watching this 3-car battle, and this is going to be a last-ditch effort, last lap of this race. And it looks like Dion Stahl's actually got himself in DRS range of Louis Quinlan, so can Quinlan hold him off? And a little bit of separation back to Max.
Jensen Randall coming through the final corner now to win the 2nd race of the season here in China to increase his lead in the championship over Andrea Luthrella, who's going to finish in 2nd place. The focus now shifts to the battle for 8th
Battle
position,
for 8th
of course.
position. Dion Stahl now within just half a second. Looks like Max Mulder's lost a little bit of pace on this last lap. Maybe he'll just be happy enough bringing home 10th and getting a point on the board. Meanwhile, Dion Stahl still trying to give it his all to get to the back of Louis Quinlan's Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, Louis Quinlan, he's gonna struggle to hold on to this with the back straight coming up. And of course, Dion Stahl is gonna have the DRS advantage and a bit of slipstream as well, but Louis Quinlan might be.
He's got full ERS as well. He is on overtake. He's got the DRS slot open. Well, yeah, he will when he comes across the line.
Louis is out of DRS now. I just looked at the steering wheel. So he's out of his deployment, and Dion is definitely.
Last ditch effort into the hairpin. They both lock up the wheels big time. Get the power down, Dion. What can you do?
I think.
Last corner, I think Louis is going to be able to hold him off.
Yeah, yes, Louis Quinlan into 8th place. Dion's on 9th, but I think Dion has a couple of penalties as well. So Max Mulder actually gets 8th.
Max Mulder up into 8th.
Louis Quinlan also had a couple of tire penalties, so well done to Max Mulder.
And Colin Higgins coming across the line. Man, what a drive for Max Mulder.
Yeah, despite his injured foot.
And he gets driver of the day! Absolutely!
Oh, rightly so as well, yeah.
That's fantastic. So Jensen Randall with a huge win and the Michael Schumacher celebration.
Yeah, and it's not looking too bad in the championship for him now.
Andrea Luthrella is going to want that race back after losing internet connection. And a great run for Cameron Weston Edwards. Nothing not too shabby of a run for him for another podium spot for him. So here are the unofficial results for today's race. Jensen Randall with the win. Andrea Luthrella second place. Cameron Weston Edwards third. Sandro Dulius managed to work his way up into fourth. Rennie Vanderstaff falls back to fifth. Foons Van Houten sixth. Esteban Hermanos is 7th, Max Mulder 8th, Louis Quinlan is 9th, Dion Stahl is 10th, Colin Higgins 11th, Robin Herderstagen is 12th, Brian Power finishing a race, good on him 13th, and then unfortunately 14th through 16th are all DNFs, Liam Hill, Dennis Carenchis, and Reese March. Reese crashed out, Dennis Carenchis raged quit, and Liam Hill crashed out as well, so...
Jensen Randall now leads the championship by 17 points. And also Sandro Dulis is going to move up 4 positions past Dennis Crenchies, Luke Smith, Tim, and myself. He's going to be in 4th place in the championship now.
Good on Sandro. It should be noted, Nick unfortunately had the race ban for today. We'll be back on track next time out, so Sandro's going to have that to deal with. And Luke Smith... Luke Smith is reserve, so he only participated in round 2?
Yeah, in Bahrain, yeah, exactly. So yeah, pretty nice race here in China. I mean,
how does Luke have... Luke has what, 25 points?
He has currently got 18 points.
18 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because he only did the one race and he finished second. So good on him. So unbelievable run. So whew. Congratulations to the drivers, and glad everybody tuned in for today's race. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Be sure to check us out in another couple weeks where we'll be doing the SRL Gran Turismo Sport GT3 series. That's going to kick off with the 1.2 hours of Bathurst, which is I'm really looking forward to. That's one of my better tracks. I got my Jag ready.
I love Bathurst as well.
So... And be sure to check out all the other previous races from the LMP1 series we kicked off a couple weeks ago as well at the Spa-Francorchamps on the LMP1 cars. And unfortunately, my Sauber will not be competitive against all you young kids in your high-tech crap. So I have to switch to the Toyota in order to be any type of competitive. So look forward to that as well.
At least you're fast on the straights with the Sauber.
I still want to run the Sauber against you guys at Le Mans, so it might be competitive there.
Yeah, you've got the long straight at least.
So, but guys, yeah, be sure to check us out on Instagram as well. I don't know what it is. Nick, do you know what the Instagram is by chance?
Yeah, the Instagram is SRL_F1.
SRL_F1. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. And we will see everybody at the next round.